Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors want to give Stephen Curry his 5th title and also revive their NBA dynasty. LeBron James, with his high basketball IQ, would give the Warriors another point guard, and assuming Golden State could retain players like Buddy Hield, Quinton Post, Brandon Podziemski, and Moses Moody, James would have plenty of shooters to find on the perimeter. Furthermore, there's no denying that James and Curry, on the same team, would have some standout moments together, from crazy alley-oop passes to circus-like jump shots. Age and injury concerns would be factors, but if both were healthy by playoff time, they would be a tough opponent regardless of the matchup. With the Golden State Warriors reportedly still having interest in LeBron James, what would a partnership look like between him and Steph Curry? The Golden State Warriors under Steve Kerr are one of the most successful dynasties in NBA history. In the season Kerr took over, he helped lead the team to the NBA Finals, beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. They'd make 5 straight NBA Finals, winning 3 of them and then capturing another in 2022. However, time is ticking if they want to capture a 5th title with Steph Curry. With the Western Conference now so much more competitive, as the Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Clippers, and Houston Rockets have all dramatically improved, the Warriors might need another star player on their team to try to compete. If the Warriors are able to retain Jonathan Kuminga on a trade-friendly deal, they could acquire another co-star for Curry, especially if Jimmy Butler regresses. While Giannis Antetokounmpo is a name that's been thrown around, the reality is that Golden State likely wouldn't be able to compete with the trade packages other teams around the league could offer. However, one player they very well could land, if his team is willing to part ways, is LeBron James. As shared by Clutch Point's Brett Siegel, James is still viewed as a dream target for the Warriors, alongside Antetokounmpo. So, assuming that the Warriors could pull off a trade for James involving Kuminga and likely Butler for salary matching purposes, what would the pairing of the two NBA legends look like in Golden State? Exploring a potential James-Curry partnership. James might not be a sharpshooter per se, but he would be able to space the floor better than the likes of Kuminga, Butler, or Draymond Green. Therefore, the Warriors would be able to use offensive sets where both Curry and James can be effective off the ball. With James set to be 41 years old by mid-season, giving him more off-ball opportunities might make the most sense. Additionally, the high IQ of James would give the Warriors another playmaker, and assuming that Golden State could retain players like Buddy Hield, Quinton Post, Brandon Podziemski, and Moses Moody, James would have several shooters to find on the perimeter. Only Al Horford can rescue Warriors from their most crushing problem. He's the last solution. Steve Kerr wasn't shy when discussing arguably the Golden State Warriors' biggest ongoing problem at the end of last season, having continually questioned the on-court fit between forwards Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga. Kerr's consistent comments are now playing a role in Kuminga's ongoing free agency stalemate, with legitimate and correct concerns on just how much opportunity the young forward will continue getting under Kerr. Granted, the history between Kerr and Kuminga, along with Butler's arrival in February, does make for a serious problem. In fact, the only possible solution may come down to the effectiveness of a 39-year-old Al Horford who the Warriors are expected to sign once Kuminga's free agency is settled. Al Horford can rescue Warriors from their biggest problem. Horford's ability to balance the front court with his floor spacing, defensive IQ and general versatility could prove the panacea to an otherwise awkward fit between Butler, Green and Kuminga. Even amid the free agent negotiations between the two parties, Kuminga's camp acknowledges the influence Horford could have on the lineup combinations Kerr could utilize entering the season. Steve has said openly, having a stretch 5, some of the combinations that might loosen up the floor. For the Jimmy, Draymond, JK dynamic, maybe Al can really help with that, Kuminga's agent Aaron Turner said on the Hoop Collective. Horford could have a real impact on Kuminga in particular, with his experience and skill set a natural complement to the young forward's raw talent and athleticism. This is a large reason as to why the 39-year-old's addition to the Warriors is so important, and so much so that Kuminga's camp is seemingly using it against them to a degree in contract negotiations. It's hard to see where the Warriors would have another solution, unless Kuminga and Butler suddenly become 36 to 38% three-point shooters, which seems highly unlikely. Golden State do have another stretch big in Quinton Post, yet the lack of experience between he and Kuminga is likely to turn Kerr away from using that combination frequently. Could Horford even allow Kerr to close with a lineup of he, Butler, Kuminga, Green and Stephen Curry? The spacing concerns are still obvious, but that hasn't stopped it from being hypothesized on social media and surely in Kerr's mind leading up to training camp. Who's stopping this lineup from winning a ring? There's also been suggestions that Horford's addition could allow Green to move back to the bench and provide Kuminga with a starting role, giving the 22-year-old an opportunity to finally solidify a role or at the very least boost his trade value for a mid-season move. Whether that happens or not, it's clear that Horford's arrival could be the final opportunity the Warriors get to addressing a problem that's left Kuminga's future with the franchise hanging by a thread. Jonathan Kuminga wants one thing Warriors likely won't give: with 18 points versus Phoenix Mercury. The Jonathan Kuminga saga for the Golden State Warriors continues, as the two sides remain in a standoff regarding his contract and future with the team, with the start of the 2025-26 NBA season approaching. The start of the regular season for the Warriors is October 21st, with Stephen Curry and company going on the road to face the dynamic duo of Luka Doncic and LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers at Crypto.com Arena. The way things are going for the Warriors in negotiations with Kuminga, a new deal doesn't seem likely, and a trade between now and that opening night in Los Angeles might be more plausible. Jonathan Kuminga's future with Warriors still remains uncertain. It seems that Kuminga and the Warriors brass are far from being on the same page, with the start of the season just a month away, which is obviously not ideal for either side. Kuminga's agent, Aaron Turner, recently stoked the fire a bit with his comments about his client's intentions while on 95.7 The Game. Play. The Warriors are the organization that drafted him, so of course, he'd love to stay with one team his whole career, Turner said. He wants to be a focal point of a team. He wants a bigger role. That's not really a secret. Is he open to coming back? He's digested it, and he's open-minded to it. This is a typical quote from an agent, as Turner claims Kuminga is open to the possibility of returning to the Warriors. However, wanting to be the focal point of the team while sharing the floor with Curry and Jimmy Butler is pretty ridiculous, unless Turner is referring to the post-Curry era, which would make more sense. The fact that the focal point was mentioned might indicate that the two sides will end up parting ways, as it is tough to see how this Warriors team can make Kuminga the primary focus when there's no telling if he can even be a secondary star or a consistent role player. Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler want Jonathan Kuminga back. Even though Turner's comments insinuate that Curry and Butler should take a backseat to Kuminga, the two superstars have let the Warriors brass know they want him back. Those two voices speak loudly, and even Draymond Green has told the team he wants Kuminga back in the fold, according to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Over the last few weeks, the Warriors veterans, Curry, Green, and Butler, have all communicated with the Dubs' brain trust to get a deal done, sources said. All three stars want Kuminga back on the roster, as his athleticism, durability, and production can't be replicated. If lost, Kuminga's void will be felt throughout the 82-game season. It'll be interesting to see how the Kuminga saga unfolds and whether he wears a Warriors uniform and suits up elsewhere once the dust settles. Warriors reject former Thunder big man despite free agency. The Golden State Warriors training camp roster is no closer to being finalized after a recent player of interest reportedly signed with a Western Conference rival on Sunday. Danny Immerman of the San Francisco Standard reported earlier in the month on the Warriors working out former Thunder and Pelicans big man Jeremiah Robinson Earl, but the 24-year-old has now reportedly signed a training camp deal with the Dallas Mavericks according to NBA insider Mark Stein. The Warriors aren't bringing Jeremiah Robinson Earl to training camp. Golden State clearly didn't have much interest in signing Robinson Earl given he's now signed a contract with a team who doesn't have an obvious roster spot available. In fact, the Mavericks recently had to waive former first-round pick Olivier Maxence Prosper in order to accommodate the re-signing of Australian guard Dante Exum. That hasn't stopped Dallas from bringing Robinson Earl to camp, along with former first-round pick Dennis Smith Jr., who last played in the NBA with the Brooklyn Nets during the 2023-24 season. In contrast, the Warriors still have up to 6 available roster spots as Jonathan Kuminga's restricted free agency drags on. Golden State have lined up a string of expected signings following a resolution on Kuminga's future, but there remains a strong chance that they have an open spot heading into training camp. Along with Robinson Earl, Emerman also reported that the Warriors held a workout with 6 feet 9 inches guard Delano Benton, who most recently appeared in 67 games with the Portland Trail Blazers and previously played with the Boston Celtics and Toronto Raptors. Banton remains unsigned and could still be an option for the Warriors given their lack of point guard depth beyond 2x MVP Stephen Curry, having averaged 8.3 points, 2.0 rebounds, and 2.4 assists in his 16.7 minutes per game last season. Robinson Earl averaged 18.8 minutes in 66 games for the Pelicans last season, averaging 6.3 points and 4.8 rebounds while making 9 starts for an injury-ravaged team. The free agency signing of former Warrior center Kevin Looney and the draft acquisition of Derek Queen put the writing on the wall for Robinson Earl and his future at the Pelicans. Robinson Earl will now look to work his way into a role with the Mavericks heading into the season, yet the chances appear slim given the lack of roster spots and his ineligibility to sign a two-way contract after 4 years in the league. Warriors expected to target 2 NBA superstars at trade deadline. At last season's NBA trade deadline, the Golden State Warriors made it clear that they wanted to add some star power. After Kevin Durant turned down a trade to return to Golden State, the franchise shifted its focus to 6-time All-Star Jimmy Butler. The Warriors ultimately acquired Butler to build a star trio of him alongside Steph Curry and Draymond Green, and the new-look Warriors looked to be building something special until the future Hall of Fame point guard went down with an injury in the second round of the playoffs. Now, the Warriors are gearing up for the 2025-26 season, but could have a similar mindset at next year's trade deadline. Warriors 2026 trade deadline plans. The Warriors had a poor start to their 2024-25 season, which led to them feeling some pressure to make a big splash at the trade deadline. It would be a huge disappointment if the Warriors had a similar start to their 2025-26 campaign, but if they still feel like they are one piece away from title contention, we could see another busy trade deadline. Clutch Point's Brett Siegel recently brought up NBA superstars LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo as trade targets for the Warriors if they are able to re-sign Jonathan Kuminga on a tradable contract. This idea of the Warriors wanting to trade Kuminga after bringing him back on a new deal has been prevalent and has continued to lead to speculation of who the franchise would target. Having Kuminga on a cap figure north of $20 million is highly advantageous to the organization, and it gives the Dubs plenty of options to explore before the trade deadline, Siegel wrote. Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James are obviously the Warriors' 2 dream targets, yet other names have been reported as well. The Warriors targeting a superstar of this caliber would not be much of a surprise, as Golden State's front office seems to always be looking for extra star power, but it would undoubtedly send the NBA into a frenzy to see Steph Curry get one of them as a teammate. Los Angeles Lakers forward LeBron James already has an uncertain future with the franchise, so him requesting a trade during the 2025-26 season would not be too shocking. If James were to request a trade, the Warriors would be an expected top destination for him. There have also been some questions around Giannis Antetokounmpo's future with the Milwaukee Bucks, and how committed he is to the franchise that has seen minimal success since their 2021 championship. Either of the superstars would create an ultimate duo alongside Curry, and likely take the Warriors back into title contention. Jonathan Kuminga's agent hints at alternative Warriors trade. The Golden State Warriors may have a leg up on other contenders around the league by having a player like Steph Curry on their roster, who has 4 NBA championships and has proven in countless big games that he can rise to the occasion and win a game on his own. However, the Warriors have one problem right now: they don't have a full roster, and training camp is right around the corner. It's not like the Warriors are choosing to enter training camp with fewer players than they're allowed, but at the same time, it could all be fixed if they came to terms on an agreement with Jonathan Kuminga, their top free agent. A restricted free agent specifically, time is ticking for the 22-year-old forward and the Warriors to come to terms on an agreement. Kuminga's agent shares the harsh reality. Golden State Valkyries vs Minnesota Lynx, game highlights. This week, Kuminga's agent, Aaron Turner, appeared on numerous podcasts and media, sharing details on the negotiations with the Warriors. On an appearance with 95.7 The Game, a local radio show that covers the Warriors, Turner revealed some insight into the reality of what could happen if Kuminga returns to Golden State next season. And again, another point, we'll see how it goes, but there's a good chance he gets traded. And that's halfway through the year. He doesn't necessarily know which team that's going to be, Turner shared. He went on to add that if that is the case, adding a player option can help get the deal over the line if that's Golden State's plan. Based on the information that was shared this week, it appears as though there are 4 offers on the table for Kuminga, one of which includes the qualifying offer, and none of them include a player option. Turner has indicated a player option isn't a necessity for Golden State, but Kuminga would need more money if a team option had to be included. As the negotiations continue to drag on and Kuminga's role with Golden State becomes more uncertain by the day, the likelihood of a trade-out from the Warriors seems like more of a reality. The Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns have both expressed interest this offseason, but who knows what the situation will become mid-season. However, if Golden State wants to try and recoup any sort of assets for Kuminga, caving in more to his contract desires to get him on a deal in the $22 to $25 million per year range will open up more options for players they can seek in trades. If Kuminga does return on the qualifying offer with a no-trade clause, the Warriors' options will be slim to none.